Hey guys, it's Venomous here, and today I'm going to be taking over the Pet Collective's Instagram story, and I'm going to be showing you all of my animal friends that are in my life every day. If you want to keep updated with us, you can subscribe on YouTube at Rebecca Venom or follow on Instagram at Venomous. And with that being said, I hope you enjoy them as much as I do, and let's get started. So before we get started, I just wanted to remind everybody that keeping animals is the biggest responsibility you could ever place into your life. So you can never do too much research or preparations to make sure it's fitting for your lifestyle and the lifestyle of that species. We always want to be responsible animal owners, especially when it comes to reptiles who can live for a very, very long time. When you get animals, they expect you to care for them for their entire lives. So we always want to be responsible, and I always want to remind you of that. Okay, let's get started for real now. This is Vader, my 4.5-month-old giant schnauzer, and as you can see, he's quite hyper and crazy, and this guy we've had for just about 2.5 months, and it has been such a journey. He requires a lot of mental and physical exercise, and he is never alone. We are with him almost 24/7, so this breed definitely needs a lot of attention, a lot of space, and a lot of patience. Vader, we love him so much, but his breed is definitely not for everyone. They're very, very rough, so little dogs and little children, probably not the best idea, but with proper training, you could probably manage. This is the most high-strung, powerful dog I have ever had or seen. I've actually never seen a giant schnauzer before we got one, and so we were seeking out the perfect guard dog for our farm that we just bought. And so we found the giant schnauzer and found a breeder, and that's when we got him and decided to choose him. And we're really happy that we have him, but it is definitely a huge lifestyle change. And so this dog is almost never alone. Someone is with him 24/7, which is really important. And he has a ton of toys, a huge backyard to get into a bunch of trouble in. So here I want to show you some of our tortoises. These are just a couple years old, and these are red-footed tortoises. They are captive bred in the USA, so we always want to promote getting animals from a reputable captive breeder. We do offer babies. If you would like to get more information on what we have available, you can email trademarkexotics@gmail.com. And redfoot tortoises are amazing species. They are native to South America, and they are foragers of the rainforest. These guys eat a whole lot, and they can be kept very, very happily in captivity with the correct conditions. And so here I've just fed them some romaine and blueberries today. The most important thing when caring for tortoises is a variety diet. And the diet is going to be species specific depending on which species you keep. So the red-footed tortoise here are omnivorous, meaning they kind of scavenge and eat just about anything. So variety is the most important part when it comes to tortoise diets. And with these guys, they can really tolerate a lot of fruit, which is not typical for some other species. It would be much too sugary. So these guys can take just about anything. They even would eat dead animals if they came across it. And so we don't really typically feed them anything like that. We keep it simple to the fruits and veggies and some supplemental items like commercial tortoise food, such as Missouri. So tortoises, they have to eat every single day. They require daily care. They also like to have a little hide. And so these conditions that they prefer are all species specific. You always have to do the research on whichever species you're keeping, because what could be perfect for one could be absolutely terrible for another. So always keep that in mind, that it's very important to do your research. But with a responsible owner, red-footed tortoises make amazing pets. They don't get too big, and I will show you what the adults look like in just a minute. But they are so great and so wonderful, and we love them so much. And look how cute they are. We keep redfoot tortoises as pets, and also we produce them to give to people who are interested in keeping them as a responsible owner. And so again, if you have any questions on what we have available, we can ship anywhere in the USA. We are legally insured and permitted, so you can always reach out to us with any questions. I would love to help. Our next friend I'd like to show you here is a very, very special tortoise called a radiated tortoise. And these tortoises are native and endemic to the islands of Madagascar off the coast of South Africa. And so she was bred in captivity here in the USA, which is wonderful because captive breeding is truly saving this species from extinction. In their natural home of Madagascar, deforestation and the illegal pet trade are absolutely pillaging this species, and so we got her from a reputable captive breeder here in South Florida. You always have to check your local and state laws, and you can see she's going to the bathroom on me here, which is very typical for tortoises when you pick them up. I mean, imagine if somebody just picked you up out of the air that was very large and strange looking. You might use the bathroom too, but this is actually a defense technique, hoping that whatever is picking her up to possibly eat her will put her down because it's gross. I'm not gonna eat you, girl. These radiated tortoises are quite shy in the beginning. They grow much slower than the redfoot tortoises here. And so again, always check your local and state laws on endangered species. You never wanna get in trouble for making a mistake or unintentionally purchasing an illegal animal. We always want to be aware and be responsible. The radiated tortoises are a grassland species, meaning that they are herbivores. So they just like the veggies, the fruit occasionally, and some commercial tortoise food as well we like to give her. Incredibly beautiful species. You can see the pattern on her shell here is what has made her so critically endangered. They're like snowflakes and fingerprints. No two patterns are alike, and they're absolutely beautiful when they get bigger. And we only have this one tortoise as a pet so far. This is Willow. Hopefully in the future we can acquire more and maybe even contribute to captive breeding efforts. So that is the radiated tortoise. Next, I'm going to show you guys some of our water turtles here. And so these are all slider varieties, and they're called sliders because they like to slide right in the water, and they have this slim style body designed just for that. And so the water turtles are a lot of work. They eventually get to be the size of a dinner plate, and they require water changes and a much different diet than these tortoise species I previously showed you. We have quite a few here, and we've been raising these up and breeding them for quite some time, and we put a lot of energy and effort into caring for them with quality husbandry and keeping them happy and healthy, of course. So they are all hiding in this sphagnum moss here. We see this girl. These are mostly slider morph varieties. So morph just means they're like a special color. And so these are all red ear sliders, but they have all these different colors. Again, always check your local and state laws on species like this because there could be restrictions depending on where you are. But they are so cute, and although they are very cute and small like this, they do require quite a bit of work, daily maintenance, daily attention, and again, they grow to be very large. These species are carnivorous mostly, so they like to eat fish and shrimp and bloodworms, and so the water does get quite smelly and stinky after a bit, so it's a different experience than keeping tortoises, which are designed to stay on land and not in the water. Over here we have some even smaller little slider turtles. So these are more freshly hatched. And you can see right here is a caramel variety, a caramel morph of the red ear slider. And they're absolutely beautiful. You can see why they're called sliders. They just slide right out of my hands here, and if you place them, they will just slide right back into the water. They're extremely cute, and to the responsible owner, they would be an amazing pet or family member. Here we have an albino variety, so a red ear slider that is albino. You can see she has some red eyes here. Again, very cute. They love to hide in the moss, and again, they are water turtles, so they need to be in an aquatic habitat. If you're interested in learning about these turtles or possibly even acquiring one as your own, again, you can email trademarkexotics@gmail.com, which is our reptile business, which is legally insured and permitted. So please reach out with any questions. Here we have some red-footed tortoise babies that are pretty freshly hatched, maybe just a few weeks old. And you can see here they're still absorbing their yolk sac. And so unlike mammals that have a placenta and they grow inside of their mom, reptiles come from eggs. So they have this little blob here, which is actually the attachment point to their egg, and this is what helps them grow. And when they're born, they have a very big blob on their stomach. I guess you could compare it to a belly button. And so the first week they are born, they typically don't eat because they're absorbing their yolk sac, which is full of nutrients and hydration, so they don't have to eat. Sometimes they do, which is great and shows they're very strong. But this is very normal for reptiles. And so you might have noticed here that we don't keep water dishes in the small tortoises' habitats, and that's because there's a little bit of a risk for drowning. If a tortoise flips upside down, it's going to be very bad news if they are like that for too long, which again is why these animals need to be checked on daily. And so instead of leaving water dishes, we actually soak them. We soak them in a little separate tub to let them get hydrated, and this is extremely important for reptiles and tortoises especially because this is how they get hydrated. It's quite hot here in Florida, so it's very, very important that this is a daily activity for them to get hydrated and to drink all that delicious water. Here we have even more baby red-footed tortoises, and some of these are available to go to their new homes eventually. So again, if you're interested, send us an email at trademarkexotics@gmail.com. We'd love to answer any questions or help you out. So here we have Luigi, who is the dad of many of those baby red-footed tortoises you saw, and he is a very, very large redfoot. So this is pretty much as big as they get as an adult. And he's maybe around 8 years old. He could be older, not entirely sure to remember. But you can see he comes right over to me to get some attention and check me out. So they definitely have their own personalities. They have their own mission going on. And they're so rewarding to keep when you give them what they need. Here we have Jack O. He's our other male, and he's also the dad of some of the babies we have and that I showed you. This guy was actually found in a park out here in Florida in the scrub habitat, which is definitely not the place he should have been. And so somebody probably released him when he got too big and they didn't know what to do with him. And so thankfully, eventually we got him. But releasing your animals is not only terrible for the animal and almost always a death sentence, but it's also very illegal. So that's never something you want to resort to. Local government and rescue agencies have options for you if an animal is becoming too much for your lifestyle. So please always reach out before you do something like that because it's not fair to the animal especially. Their habitat is quite large, so as adults they do need to eventually go outdoors. They're going to be happiest there. You can make modifications and accommodations if you live in a colder state, but these guys do especially well in Florida. Hello. Now, a lot of questions I get are, do they need to have friends or can they be alone? And my personal answer to that is that I think they can be absolutely fine alone, but I really think they enjoy having friends of their own kind. You might have noticed that we don't mix different species, and so we always want to separate species because there is a risk of disease transfer that they might not be able to fight off from the other species. And so that is why we keep the redfoots with the redfoots and any other species is kept by itself or with others of its own kind. Hi, Luigi. We have 6 adult redfoots total, and so they're probably hiding around the habitat. which is very typical. Tortoises live a very simple life. They like to walk around, they like to graze, they eat, and they sleep. And then the next day, they do it all over again. Next, I would like to show you some very, very special friends. Here is Nebula, the Galapagos tortoise, and he's about 3 years old. And so we have Galapagos tortoises and Aldabra tortoises, which are both giant tortoise species. You can see they love to dig holes and look like big rocks. That's probably how they survived so long. But the Galapagos tortoise is critically endangered. My tortoise, Nebula, was captive bred in the USA by 3J's Tortoise Sanctuary. Shout out to you guys. And these animals are so amazing, and to witness and be a part of the captive breeding efforts is such a privilege, and I'm honestly so honored to even be a part of it in just a small way. So you can see the tortoises, they love to hide. You should always have hides available for them. They really appreciate that. Let's see, nobody else under here, huh? It's all for you. Okay, and so it looks like the rest are under here. Hello. And so we have Puichi, Ocho, and Seven. These are Aldabra tortoises, which are a very similar species to the Galapagos tortoise, just very slight differences. They live a very similar lifestyle, which is why we do keep them together. This is probably the only species I would cohabitate. And so they live a very similar life. They're both grassland species, so they're herbivores. They just like the greens. And they're absolutely amazing. It's such a privilege to keep them. And they really like their shells scratched, and they like to be sprayed down. And these guys, like their name suggests, like to eat a lot. That's the life of a giant tortoise. I spend quite a bit on tortoise produce. And so if you ever want to keep these animals, that is definitely something to budget for and consider. These tortoises will be hundreds and hundreds of pounds one day, so eventually they're going to need a very big yard to accommodate for their size, and already at this size they eat so much, so I can't even imagine how much they're going to eat in the future. You got it? You need some help? This is good. One thing I really love about the giant tortoises is that they have this hydraulic movement whenever you spray them down. And so this is typically what we do with our hose, but right now I'm just using a spray bottle. So you can see she starts stretching up and standing up so tall. And this is actually called finching. So in the wild, the finches will pick off the ticks from their legs and necks, and so they stand up really tall, and this is just a stimulating action that causes them to do so. And it's really cute. And so this is when you can give them a nice little neck scratch, and they seem to really love it. You like that? Say hi to everybody. Coming back to check on these soaking redfoot tortoises, I always recommend setting a timer so that you don't forget about them, because you will forget, trust me. So next I want to show you guys my albino iguana, Soleil. And he is not nearly the size that he will be as a full-grown adult, but he's about 3 years old, going on 4 years old. And he's such an amazing animal. He is an albino green iguana, and so because he's albino and he's captive bred through the designer line of reptiles, he does have some poor eyesight. And so this does affect his lifestyle, but he's very happy. He eats so much. He lives here with us in South Florida, which is the perfect climate for these, as you might have known. Green iguanas are an invasive species in Florida, so there are some restrictions that are in play, possibly depending on where you live. He's also herbivorous, but they are opportunistic as well when it comes to what they eat. So he would opportunistically eat other things and scavenge. But here with us, he never has to hunt for food. He never has to worry about those things. And so he gets a variety diet, just like the tortoises, which is the most important thing. Lizards eat every day, and they eat a lot. So he's getting a lot of spring mix, veggies, fruits, and things like that. And he would eat multiple times a day if I gave him the opportunity. Say hi to everyone. Now, although iguanas are very cute, and the albino iguanas are quite tame compared to the other green iguana morphs, getting bit by this animal would be a very bad thing, and I would need to go to the hospital. So just because they might seem like a normal reptile doesn't mean that they're not dangerous. So you always want to be responsible and always be aware of the animal's behavior. Especially with exotic species, their behavior is going to tell you almost everything. So say hi to everyone. Soleil is just my pet that I acquired a few years ago. I don't plan on breeding albino iguanas. I would just like to keep him. I don't think I'm going to get any more, but who knows what the future holds. I absolutely love lizards because of Soleil. He taught me so much about how smart they are and how personable they can be. And so iguanas make amazing pets as well, but again, it's not for the beginner. I would never say any reptile is for the beginner. They all require very species-specific care, and it's our responsibility to give them exactly what they need. So keep that in mind if you're ever interested in owning an animal like this. All right, next I'm gonna take you into Trademark Exotics, which is where we keep all of the snakes. We breed and sell them, so this is really their temporary home while we care for and breed them and find the perfect place for them to eventually live the rest of their lives with maybe someone like you. So again, if you're interested in any of the reptiles we have available, we prioritize quality care and husbandry and breeding in all of our animals. So you can always reach out with questions or anything at trademarkexotics@gmail.com. This is our female green tree python, and green tree pythons are arboreal, so that means that they have a lifestyle that's within the trees. So these snakes have a much different habitat requirement than some of the other snakes that we have, and she's just our pet. She's so beautiful, and we totally love her. Trademark Exotics specializes in ball python breeding, and so ball pythons are a very common snake in the pet trade, and they're commonly available from captive breeders, so always make sure that you're getting your animals from a reputable captive breeder. Trademark Exotics specializes in ball python morphs, more specifically the piebald versions of ball pythons. So piebaldism is just a color mutation that happens in many different animal species, and so it creates these very unique and rare patterns that are very beautiful. And ball pythons are very rewarding to keep with the proper conditions. They are native to Africa, but these are all captive bred here in the USA. So always be sure to do your research on the species-specific requirements. Again, I would never say that any reptile is a beginner reptile, and you can never do too much research. We have so many different types of ball pythons here, so if you ever have questions or anything, always reach out. We would love to help. Thank you guys so much for checking out my animals today. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube at Rebecca Venom and Trademark Exotics. We have so many animals, and it's such a privilege, but it's also such a responsibility that is 24/7. There are no holidays, there are no days off. So this is a really serious commitment before you really decide that it's going to be the right thing for you and your lifestyle and the lifestyle of that species. Because again, every species requires very specific care. And so you have to budget for that, you have to plan for that, and you have to fit that into your lifestyle and your daily normal life. So thank you guys so much for checking us out. I hope you enjoyed this little Instagram takeover. Thank you to the Pet Collective. I can't wait to hear from you guys again and maybe do this again. And thank you so much. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out on Instagram at Venomous, or you can message Trademark Exotics if you have any questions about these animals you've seen today. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye!